What's the best process from start to finish? You know,
Yeah.
we're really at a disadvantage because we don't know anything about how to start, you know, because you have to get design plans, you got to do all this surveying and all this kind of stuff. And so for a newbie, where do you start?
Yeah. And that's like, it's a really good question. It's kind of like my whole shtick is really like helping homeowners, but it is a really complicated, daunting, overwhelming process. And so I don't, like I'm pretty straight up about that this is not an easy process for a lot of people, myself included. And there's companies that are out there now that are, especially in the Bay Area, that are helping to make or at least they're trying theoretically to make the process a lot easier. But I won't sugarcoat it. And I will say it is an extremely difficult process. It is extremely expensive. It's arguably the second most challenging thing you'll ever do in your life after having a child. And it's going to take a year at least, and it's going to be incredibly stressful. And on the flip side, it's going to be life-changing and totally worth it once you're done. But it's kind of like giving birth to a really challenging child or something. As far as first steps, I'd say that, the order of things that I think about are understanding roughly what we're talking about in terms of ultimate price point of what the unit that you're going to be going for is, which sounds preemptive because we don't, like, without knowing your situation, I can't project whether it's going to be a $50,000 internal conversion of an existing structure or new detached ADU. So, but that's kind of like, in the first minute of my conversation with you, I'd say, well, are you talking about a garage conversion, basement conversion, new construction, detached new construction? And once you say that, you're probably going to say detached new construction because most people are looking at that. Then I'm going to say, okay, we're talking about a price point of roughly $200,000 in the Bay Area for the cheapest ADU you can build, maybe as much as $350,000, $400,000 for a nice high-end 1,000 square foot detached ADU. That's a lot of money. And so the very first order of business is financing. Before you get into design, zoning, anything like that, let's think about how is it possible for you to get enough money to do something that's going to cost $200,000? You definitely don't have $200,000. Nobody does. Saved up. Most people don't. If you did, you probably wouldn't be building an ADU with it. Rather, you'd be investing it in hedge funds or something. So my presumption is you're a middle-class person, and just like everybody else, you don't have $200,000 lying around. So you have to figure out somehow with your meager savings of $5,000 or $10,000, how are you going to turn that into a $200,000 unit? And there's generally there's a whole number of different approaches to financing. But the first order of business is kind of that nugget, dealing with financing. And then it's kind of looking into zoning issues and what are going to be like the zoning red flag issues that you might come up against. And that's the stuff that you can do as a homeowner. And I would, recommend you do as a homeowner before necessarily involving other people. And then starting to, maybe once you've gotten through that first set of zoning questions about what size, what are the setbacks, things like that, like, Beverly, you're like, okay, I know I want a 1,000 square foot ADU. I know I want it to be 2 bedrooms because it's for this. I want it to be for rental income. That's going to be the best return on investment. So given that, I'm ready now that I know I have a budget of, say, $300,000. I figured out how I'm going to finance this thing. I know what the zoning entitlements are on my property, more or less. I'm ready to reach out to a designer, except I would say don't reach out to a designer, rather reach out to a builder. A builder is generally speaking, when people are going through a development process, the conventional wisdom would be go to a designer, get a set of drawings drawn up, shop it around for the cheapest bid from 3 general contractors, get the cheapest bid and execute. Do not do that. I'd say it's not a good method for building an ADU. Instead, reach out to a builder. Try to find builders that you want to work with, because ultimately you're going to have a really long depth, personal, in-depth relationship with the builder, more so than with the designer. And they're the ones who are really going to know how much this project is ultimately going to cost. So you come to them and you say, I want to do a 1,000 square foot ADU. I've got $200,000. I'm ready to go. The builder's going to say, well, that's cool, except $200,000 isn't enough unless you're willing to do a 500 square foot ADU. I can do a 500 square foot ADU for $200,000, but I can't do a 1,000 square foot ADU. So all of a sudden you have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I don't have $300,000. I only have 200. So maybe I can't do my 2-bedroom ADU. I have to do a studio style one bedroom, two, maybe a small one bedroom or a studio style ADU. That's going to change my entire scope. Or alternatively, you could say, well, in the course of my investigations of financing, I realized I actually am eligible for a construction loan of $300,000 or $200,000 plus. I can borrow some money from mom or aunt or uncle and do a 5%, handshake loan from them, and that's how I'm going to get up to $300,000 because I realized in the course of doing my initial research with Ryan and with Kol, it's going to be a lot of money. So I wanted to find a contingency plan for getting $300,000, which is ridiculously expensive, but that's what I need in order to build the kind of ADU that's going to work best on my property. And then, so it's not like a scientific process to this stuff, but in general, the way that I think about these things is like costs, concurrently like big zoning, red flags, things like if you're in an HOA, guess what? That's going to change everything. You might not be able to build an ADU at all based on the CC&Rs of the zoning, or maybe the sewer on your property. Maybe you're on septic, and in order to do an ADU, you're going to have to add an additional septic capacity on your site, and that's going to cost $20,000, and that's going to change your ultimate budget that you can dedicate to the ADU. So that's going to change your scope. So there's a lot of kind of like dancing around back and forth between the design, development, cost, permitting stuff that you need to figure out, and it all needs to happen kind of together. And so because of this degree of complication, I'd say, self-servingly, I'd say you want to kind of try to get educated about all these different things to some extent. And you can do that through reading the first half of my book, which is for homeowners, or taking my online web course. And I'm sure Ryan has some other ideas on this front too that I'll let him chime in about. But I say all those things are kind of important factors that would help you kind of get started. Now, jumping to where I started this whole thing is, if all that sounds daunting, overwhelming, you're like, I have no idea what Kol was just saying. It made no sense. I have no interest in this. I just want an ADU, damn it. I call these the just give me an ADU, damn it, people, of which, that's 25% of the people who want to build ADUs is probably just give me an ADU, damn it. I don't want to go through all this complicated stuff that you're talking about. There's companies out there that can help you with that. They're kind of in the one-stop shop, prefab ADU, we'll take care of everything for you kind of realm. There's a lot of new companies that are offering that service in the Bay Area. So maybe I'll hand it maybe over to Ryan to like chime in with some ideas about that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, I was going to plug the book for the DIY crowd. Like, it helps to have a resource you can go back to because there is so much hopping between subjects. And when you hit a wall, you go, actually, I thought I was going forward with finance, but it turns out every underwriter's changing the rules now because of what's going on with COVID and all the relief efforts. Let me pause my finance work and go back to design. And you want a resource that you can trust, that you can hop back and forth between. And then, like you said, if it's daunting, that's one of the things that I get referral commissions for, is introducing homeowners to one-stop shop companies like BuildZig, who have also done webinars and will be back at the end of the month. And their specialty is like, let me visit the property, then let me tell you what your options are. Here's your cheapest, and it's not going to be cheap. And here's your kind of all the trimmings options. And here's what you can do with prefab. Here's what you could do with custom construction. And if you want, we can apply for the permits for you. We can take it all the way to construction if you want. And those kind of one-stop shops can be really helpful if you can afford them. And if you don't want to stomach the constant quest. If you do want to learn and do it on your own, Kol's got a class just for that. And I'll send a link around in the follow-up email after the webinar, because every ADU project is unique and everybody's at a different stage, and you just need to find the thing that you're comfortable with, that's going to get you a project you can afford and, that you can enjoy on budget and on time.